Hello and welcome to today's Delta Credit Tip. So today we're talking about protecting your credit through this COVID-19 virus. Stay tuned, we're going to fill you in some of the new laws, some of the pitfalls, and one thing you're going to really want to watch out for in your credit repair process. So stay tuned, we'll fill you in on today's Delta Credit Tip. Hello and welcome back to today's Delta Credit Tip. I'm Michael Holmes, bringing you yet more information to help you in your credit restoration process. Hopefully this information is helpful. If so, give us that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so that every Thursday as we come out with more information to help you in your credit restoration process, you get it as we produce it and it can help you right away. As a matter of fact, most importantly right now, you gotta subscribe, right? Every other day or so, we're bringing out more information in lieu of this whole COVID virus situation that we've got going on. We're talking about different creditors and programs that they have and what laws have been created. So stay tuned, subscribe, so all this information that we're coming out with can keep you updated and help you navigate through this crisis that we're having. Now, today we're talking about the new laws that have been created to help with people who are just simply unable to make payments on time. Okay, and this is basically out of section 4021 of the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Securities Act, okay, or the CARES Act, right? So basically what they've done is they've gotten this moratorium of 120 days until after we are no longer in a state of emergency in the United States, whereby if you call your creditor and you work something out, and they do one of several things, either they go in and they let you defer your payment, if they provide you some sort of partial payment option, if they forbear it, which is kind of like a delay of payment, if they also modify your loan or give you any kind of help during this process. They're not supposed to be reporting you late on your credit report. Okay, so this gives you some reprieve. So if your lender says, hey, you've got 30 days, you don't have to make this payment, they shouldn't be reporting you late, which is great, right? Because a lot of us are not going to be able to make these payments on time. But here's the big caveat. If you don't say anything, if you just stop paying, you're going to be late and they're going to report it accordingly. You're going to have to communicate. Right? And again, for us, it's always been about behaviors. Your credit is a behavior. It's not a score. And part of that behavior is communicating with your creditors. If you don't call and say, hey, I can't make my payment and work it out, it doesn't matter. You're going to get the 30-day late. You're not going to be able to go back and fix it. Also, keep in mind, if you are currently in default or behind in your payments, claiming that you need help from that point forward is not going to help you. So if you think that you are going to be unable to pay for an extended period of time, you're going to want to make sure that you bring yourself current first, then ask for the help, and then from that day forward, they're not going to report negatively against you. Right? So if you don't communicate, it's not going to help you. Now, I do want to mention something specifically about the word modification. Okay? So if any of you have ever gone through a loan modification with your mortgage, you recognize that during that trial period phase where you're putting those modified payments in before they come out with your final payment, during that time, typically you're already in default, okay? And that modification period, even though you're paying the payments that they agreed upon with you, unless you basically get an attorney involved, they're going to mark you late during that time too. But this is something different. So you don't necessarily have to be behind to get the modification. But it's going to be a per lender situation. So if it's concerning your mortgage and you want to modify the mortgage, this is an opportunity for you to do that without the late pays. Right? So, trying to fix that mortgage payment won't necessarily create a domino effect that you might have with the other credit relationships that you have. Because, once you default on something on the left, a guy on the right wants to either jack up your rate, reduce your limits, or do something else that's going to kind of hurt your credit, right? So kind of keep that in mind. But again, the key is in communicating with your lender. Now, there is a big, huge caveat with all this. While you are getting help with your credit, so are the bureaus. Okay, so are the creditors. So during this time, if you are in the middle of fixing your credit and you've hired one of these credit repair companies that just write a bunch of letters saying it's not mine, and they bombard the bureaus with a bunch of letters hoping one of them goes by without getting back with you in 30 days and they get the delete, right? That ain't gonna happen anymore, right? At least not during this phase, because they're also giving a reprieve to the bureaus and creditors. So if you're disputing something and it takes them more than 30 days, well, right now everybody's short-staffed. Right? Everybody's working from home, or they're trying to work it out, or they're furloughing their employees. So if they can't address your dispute during that 30-day window, it no longer will create a deletion demand that you can make on the bureaus. They've literally amended the Fair Credit Reporting Act with the CARES Act. Okay, so until we're no longer in a national emergency and 120 days beyond that passes, the bureaus can basically take their time. And if you call the CFPB, who is basically behind the regulatory, they're the regulatory agency that will basically create what they call it, they will enact legal action against the bureaus. In other words, they'll sue them, right? Or, fight for you on your behalf in the court system. They're not doing that. Okay, so you have no protection from the CFPB right now in regards to how long it takes the bureaus to respond. Now, there's supposed to be, reasonable amount of time, but if you call the bureaus, they're not going to define reasonable at all. So don't do the fraud dispute thing where you say it's not mine and you hope the 30 days go by. Go back to our other videos and come up with a real reason why you're disputing stuff. Do it the right way, and hopefully you'll be able to get some sort of response from the bureaus that's actually going to work in your favor. Okay, so again, hopefully this information helps. If so, again, give us that thumbs up. Don't forget, subscribe and hit the bell. Tune in every Thursday. Share this information, subscribe so you get it right out of the gate. And hopefully this will help you make a choice, make a change. Delta.